Okay, so you've now created a game and you're looking to pick your fleet. You're in what we call the fleet selection screen. You will see that there are links to helpful documents here, so factions and tiers worth a look because you can go to tier ratings here and you may have set your game to be tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and that will allow you to know what kind of power level of faction you're sort of dealing with, and I'll show you the filters in a moment. You also have ammo options and enhancements, so this will give you lots of information about missiles, ship enhancements, so you know what you're purchasing for your units. And then if you wanted to just pick a random fleet, you can go to one of these random faction wheels, and it will suggest a fleet for you to take. The next thing to notice is your scenario description. So whatever you entered into those drop downs in the previous screen will be reflected here. And similarly, we have a map preview, which you might remember from the create game screen. That's just there for to let people know where they're deploying once they take the second slot in your game. In this case, your slot is there. If you ever wanted to just leave the game, you could click by leave slot or leave game. You can't do that after you've readied, so just make sure that when you do ready, you really do want to start the game. Okay, so that's kind of all the basic information at the top. Now to actually pick a fleet. So here we have a number of filters. If we just turn them all off for a second and click tier 1, and again you remember from the tiers, here's a list of factions that are at tier 1 power level. We could then change that to tier 2, and we could change that to tier 3 or ancients, or we can just put everything on. You also have a button here for show custom factions, and you'll see like a warning appeared when I tried to use it, and that's because the game is set to not allow custom factions and units. So that's just to warn you, don't take custom units if the game doesn't ask for them, essentially. But here we have like the full list. I think I'm going to pick a tier 1 fleet. I think I'm going to pick an Earth Alliance fleet. In fact, so if I click on the Earth Alliance dropdown, you'll see, and they've got a very extensive ship list, all the ships that are available to the Earth Alliance, starting with immobile structures, capital ships, heavy ships, medium ships, and fighters. So those are all the different ship types within Fiery Void. I'm going to stick to the sub classics. I'm going to pick an Omega Destroyer. Its engine kind of sucks, so I'm going to give it a slightly better engine, and then I'm going to add it to my fleet. You will see that the Omega Destroyer is listed, points value, its improvements there. I can edit that if I decide I don't want two engines. I can turn that down just to one engine, or indeed up to three engines, whatever I want to do with edit. I could take a second one of exactly the same thing using the copy button, and of course I can just click remove to remove it. So, but we'll stick with that for now. And then I think we'll just take a couple of wings of Star Furies, and we will see Omega Destroyer and 12 Star Fury fighters because you get 6 fighters typically. You can edit that and make that more or less, but generally speaking, 6 is the number you should be taking. So we'll leave it at that. So you've picked a fleet. What can you do now? Well, if someone in their game description has said, please pass fleet checker, then there you are at the top. Then what you want to do next is click check. And what this will do is look through you've picked, and it will compare it against a set of rules that were typically used in tournaments back in the Babylon 5 Wars days, but essentially have become the standard rules for what is a legal fleet. So if your opponent or whoever set up the game has said pass the fleet checker, you will want to do this. And we can see that we're okay here. There's no problem. We're all green okays. Had I got rid of a Star Fury there and clicked again, we'll see we failed, and that's because one of the rules is you need to fill up half your hangar space with fighters, which in this case is 12, and I've only taken 6. So let's fix that. Put the fighters back in. So that's a fleet checker. You could, if you are really fond of this fleet, save it and just call it whatever you want. Save the fleet, and then if you get rid of it, you can then use this drop down to load. Exactly the same fleet will appear, and that's quite useful in a lot of ways. But it means that once you've got like fleets that you like, you can essentially save a lot of time when you're making games. But here we are. So we've checked it. we've saved the fleet that we want. All that's left to do is basically ready up, which I will now do. And then when your opponent has taken a slot and they've also likewise ready, the game will begin. And we'll cover that in later videos. Okay, thank you.